Hey, Midlothian, what's going on? Back here with the Seaman City Chatter podcast. Rob LaFleur, live from the Opoka Palace. Mr. John Opoka, what's going on, buddy?
What's happening?
Oh, not a whole lot. Pretty good. Excited to be here today. Had some events this weekend that was pretty cool. Porch Pour. Did everybody see that they're going to open up this upcoming Wednesday?
Yeah. You know, I've been stuck in the house since October with all these puppies.
Yeah.
Thank God they're all gone now.
They are, but I heard a rumor that got another.
Yeah, we got a bleeder.
A special breed or a special litter coming pretty soon.
Yeah, this one's gonna be an amazing litter, top quality. Gonna be very expensive.
That'll be cool.
Yep. So, but hopefully they'll be gone before summer starts, and it won't interfere with the
lake time.
Summer activities.
Because we got a couple new toys to put on the water.
So we were invited to a soft opening for the Porch Pour, and we attended Friday night, and all I got to say is, you know, it was amazing experience. The ambiance and everything is top shelf. It's really a nice place. The food was just spectacular. They have this appetizer called the bones. What it is, it's a roasted bone with bone marrow. So you're
getting
the bone.
Craziest
yeah, and it's
thing
got
I've
a
ever seen.
chimichurri sauce on it, and it comes with a sourdough bread toast. Little toast, they call them a sourdough corn.
Yeah, I've eaten a lot of places, and you know, a lot of times, you know, I've had the hot stone they bring that's fire, you know, 220 degrees hot. You have the Kobe beef, you cook it yourself. I mean, all kinds of just, you know, different experiences at restaurants. But I gotta say, that was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. Literally two huge, femur looking bones that were cooked, and you know, it's something specific that they do that I've never seen at another restaurant.
No, I've had bone marrow before at other restaurants, but nothing like this. I mean, the way they put the chimichurri sauce on there, and then they put it on top of this fresh salad, in which I didn't get a chance to eat the salad because you and Dusty were sitting there like carnivores.
Man, it was crazy.
You know,
I've never seen anything
every time
like
I reached
that.
for the bone, they would bark at me. You know, it was crazy.
Hey, our wives were looking out. They wouldn't even watch it. They're like, "What are you guys eating?"
Yeah.
Dusty's like, "I can take this home to my German Shepherd." It was pretty cool. But I tell you what,
but you got to order. Each one's got. I mean, you got to get your own. I mean, I'm not sharing again with you guys.
No, we should have ordered two.
Yeah,
but it's something different that only they have. And I'll tell you, you know, of course, we had Tawny and Ashton on the show. Stephen Heidelball, who is the developer of the entire Founders Row development down there, and who is responsible for bringing, you know, the historical mansions in and the rehab of all that. The Porch Pour is the first one that's open down there, as you guys know, and they open Wednesday to the general public. They're closed Monday and Tuesday. Now, Tawny did say that Quinn, they're the managers.
Right.
I think for the first month they're going to work on reservation.
Yeah, reservation only.
Reservation only.
You go to the website and you click on the Open Table link. Don't go to Open Table directly because that costs them a lot of money. But if you go to their website, you can make a reservation.
The porchpour.com website.
Yep.
And book you a table. I mean, it was incredible. It's the nicest restaurant we have in Midlothian, I believe.
I had an old fashioned.
You did, yeah.
Oh, man, that was amazing. It was really, really good. It's probably one of the better ones I've had.
And for high-end food and just beverage period, their drink menu's incredible. I mean, I'll bet you what they have, probably 30, 40 different bottles of wine to choose from, multiple whiskeys. You guys pick the whiskey in your old-fashioned.
Yeah, and the beer, you know, they have a very eclectic list of beers. There's nothing...
You're not going to get a Miller Lite.
Yeah, you're not going to get a Budweiser. You're not going to get Coors Light. You're not going to get a Miller Lite. You're going to get, you know, microbrewery stuff that's local. So it's a cool experience. And if you're into that scene, then You're gonna have a great time.
But their beef and their pork comes from their family's Wassler farm in Canadian Texas. So it's legit farm to table food. And I'm going to tell you, been to a lot of steakhouses, and it's up there.
Well, I can tell you that the steak that I had, it would hands down challenges Del Frisco's every day of the week.
Absolutely,
every day of the week.
So
had a perfect char on it. This flavor was just awesome.
It was pretty fun. It was nice to get out and have a couple nice meals and experience them opening this place in town that I think everybody's going to really love and appreciate. Really,
yeah, I'll definitely go back for sure.
Absolutely.
And I can't wait to try the brunch. We had way too much stuff going on today, so that was just not in the.
I went to brunch, and you guys were busy, so I bited on Nana. You know, we call her Nana, my mother, but she came, and we all ordered a few different. We didn't get the same thing on purpose so we could try some stuff. Their biscuits and gravy was excellent. French toast was great. Some special dishes they have, of course, omelets and whatnot.
They've got I read on the menu, they got a variation of eggs Benedict down there.
They do, and it comes on a flatbread. Okay, so it comes on like a flatbread type. It's served kind of that way, just all kinds of. I mean, it was incredible. It was pretty good.
Wow!
And it's an eggs Benedict on top of that, so it was good.
I can't wait.
Then the women had some mimosas, and Nana had her Bloody Mary. So
excellent.
All good stuff. All good stuff. What else been going on here in town?
Man, nothing.
With the winter storm, we've had since we've broadcasted, we've had two ice storms. We've had a guy ice skate down Main Street. That was pretty cool.
That video went viral.
Very viral. Guys literally skating with hockey skates down Main Street.
You don't see that
on the street
Texas too often.
It's pretty incredible. So the kids got a few days out of school to.
Well, see, I went to Possum Kingdom Lake. I went to our place there, and right before the storm hit because I needed to make sure that everything was buttoned up and we didn't have any leaky pipes or anything.
Yeah.
So I woke up the morning of the storm, and it was bad.
Yeah, you came home, didn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, it was frozen.
Well, I had no water, so I had to shut everything down. And I made sure all the heaters were on and everything was buttoned up. But on my way back, it was interesting. The amateurs out there sliding in the ditch and everything. I ran straight the whole way. I just put the F-150 in 4-wheel drive auto and just
hope for the best.
Stayed to my lane and stayed away from everybody else, right? Yeah, so let me tell you something. If you don't have insurance or you don't have full coverage insurance, stay home.
Stay home, yeah.
The only people should be out fully insured people with GAP.
There you go. Absolutely. Since we started this podcast, we've had some city councilmen on. We've had some business owners and the Porch Pour people,
local celebrities,
developers,
professional world-class championship wrestling,
WWF wrestlers. So we've had some fun.
Yeah.
And we love those type of shows, and we love all the fun stuff that goes on in this town. But today we are kind of switching gears, I guess, from the normal upbeat podcast that we've brought to you in the past. And we want to reflect on something that has gone around town on social media. I think a lot of people have seen it. I know for a fact, a lot of people have seen it on Midlothian Talk and Buzz and our town social media pages of an incident that happened at Dietrich Middle School a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
A young boy by the name of Colton Brown.
He was assaulted.
He was assaulted. He's a victim. There's no way to candy coat this. I understand that you don't like the words, you don't like the way it's put out, but the kid is a victim of bullying.
Yes, and what's so egregious about this is this. If I would have went to Brandenburger. By the way, thank you for Brandenburger for sponsoring this podcast. If I went to Brandenburger and I knocked someone in the head and just started beating the tar out of him, I would be in jail right now.
You'd go to jail. You'd be arrested for assault.
And according to this video that we both have it, and of course you have it too. There's absolutely nothing different about it, other than the fact that the age of the person that was doing it. That's it.
Right.
And there might be some other factors, but we're not going to go there.
So, first and foremost, we want to bring awareness to this situation, and we want the city to understand what happened and what's been going on. So today we have Talia and Justin Brown, and they're here with us. Colton's an 8th grader, and he's not going to sit on a podcast, and he's going to enjoy this beautiful day with friends and, do things that an 8th grade boy wants to do. So
Exactly.
thank you guys for coming on the show today, and thank you for spending your time and actually just coming on here to get the story out there. I mean, we've got to find a resolution in this situation for Colton, but also, I mean, kids in the future as well. So Talia, just I guess how tell us a little bit about Colton. And you guys specifically, you guys have lived here in Midlothian for a while, right?
Yes, since 2005.
Yeah. And so Colton's always been in school here in Midlothian?
Yes. Yeah.
So what's happened this year? Just from the beginning, what's been going on at Dietrich Middle School?
Well, Colton started Dietrich Middle School, I guess it would be the second semester of last year. Previous to that, he was at a Walnut Grove and JAV. We moved over here to a new house. And the last semester of Dietrich was fine. This year, at the very beginning of the year, it all started in the locker room. He's a little heavier right now. I mean, boys go through phases, and my oldest one, he went through a phase where he was chunky.
I do
but
too.
He grew, and it stretches out.
Guilty.
Yeah.
And so he right now he's a little chunkier. Well, taking showers after football practice, things were said about his weight and everything, and it escalated, to the first physical incident was in the locker room, and it was over. They were calling him fat, and all the. Of course, he said something back. They're calling him fat, and he's.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't expect anything different. I probably would have popped off too. So
Yeah. And so, he pops off back, and at that time there were 4 boys that were really giving him a hard time, and so anyways, it just kind of escalated from there with this one particular boy. The other 3, 2 of them have completely stopped. The other one was actually in the classroom this last incident. This last incident is the 5th physical incident.
5th physical incident.
Yes. The first 2 were with friends of the boy. They were, and actually Officer Hall talked with the boys, and they've been able to squash it with the other 2.
And Officer Hall, he's the resource officer there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I said, he's been able to get it down, from 4 to 2. So the resource officer, he went from, got it down from 4 boys to 2 boys. And those 2 boys, there have been, with the one boy, it's been 3 physical incidents with him, and then the other 2 were with the other boy.
Okay.
So what happened after the first incident where Colton was physically assaulted is the word I'm going to use. Actually, John, do we have the ability to, if we want to watch this video?
Yeah.
As an insert, I know we do with photos.
I can insert it. I don't know if YouTube will pull it or not, because I know it has been pulled from Facebook, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so that could actually cause us to be flagged. But
We
if
could
anybody
try.
would like to see it, we can DM them the video.
There's a fight.
Stop it! Stop! Stop! Stop!
I mean, it's because it's blatant assault. I know you've
With
put it
y'all's
up
permission, of course.
Yeah.
You've put it up there, and it's been taken down. But it's been taken down because it's been reported.
Yes.
I mean, we all know how this works. I mean, Facebook will let you know if they personally have flagged something for misuse of community standards or whatnot, or if it was reported. John and I admin a couple pages together, and he's got a few of his own with his businesses that he admins, and it's the same with every page. If you go to our Midlothian Buzz social media page and, you know, say something about somebody else and she doesn't like it and reports you, it'll show us that it was reported and so forth, and it's taken down, and then there's nothing we can do about it. But we know that it was reported because somebody did not want it up there.
Right.
So what that tells me, just on the outside looking in, is that somebody doesn't want you talking about this. Somebody doesn't want you showing this video and basically bringing awareness to what's happening. So that's kind of concerning. I mean, from my aspect, but that I just wanted to clarify, that's how that works. That when something is removed from Facebook, it's one of two reasons, and
Yes.
if it's reported, you're notified that it was reported.
Yes, I was notified that it was reported. The video was our warning, and you know, so they took the video down and it said there's a warning, and then your post has been. The next day, my post was reported as hate speech. And
Right. So now the video could have gone against Facebook's content
Community
regulation.
standards.
Yeah, and I get that, but specifically your dialogue. That was reported. You know, I can report as hate speech offensive. You know, you click it. Somebody had done that. Somebody that doesn't agree with you posting that. So
yeah, and I don't know how they couldn't agree. It was literally
Well, I can tell you, but
it's the world we live in. But more importantly, let's go. I want to go back to the first time. The first time that Colton was physically touched and assaulted at Dietrich Middle School. What happened?
He came home. He had a mark on his face. I took a picture of it. I asked him, you know, did you tell somebody? Did you tell a coach? Since it happened in the locker room. He said he did not. And he didn't want to make a big deal of it.
Right.
Because he said it will get worse. If I make a big deal of it, it's going to get worse. And so, you know, we went a couple weeks, every day they're calling it, I don't know if I'm allowed to say the word on,
You can say whatever you want.
they call him fat faggot. Now he's not gay, but you know, that's what they call him. And so it's every day they were calling him that. It was in locker room, in the classroom, in the hallway. Then the second incident happened in the bathroom. When he was in a hall bathroom. I guess this bathroom has a door, so I'm assuming this is one by from the principal. She said that the bathrooms with the door are by the specials hallway, which I don't know what that is. I guess band and all that.
Probably so.
And so that second time, he gets hit in the face again. And so, you know, I again take another picture and I ask him, do you want me to do anything about it? And I said, you know, I can maybe ask on Midlothian Talk who the parents are. Maybe I can have a talk with the parents and let them know what's going on. He said, no, don't do anything yet. So we didn't do anything second time. The third time is when I got Officer Hall involved. And that again was in the bathroom. I guess he talked with the kids. We had a friend of ours who knows Officer Hall personally, reach out to Officer Hall and let him know what was going on. And he said, you know, I'll take care of it. I'll talk to him. He did talk to him. Like I said, he got it down from the 4 boys to the 2 boys. Those other 2 boys, I don't know, they claim to be part of a gang in Waxahachie, and you know, they're nonsense that the kids say. So anyways, they The fourth incident was right before Thanksgiving, and all this time in between incidents, we're still dealing with the, oh, you're a fat faggot, you know.
Yeah.
And they're presenting themselves as gang members.
Yes.
Did they say what gang that they're? I mean, neither here nor there. Okay.
No, that's what they keep telling my
Gotcha.
son.
Okay.
And also during this time, he was getting things on Snapchat. Like somebody took a picture of our house, like our mailbox, and sent it to him and said, "I know where you live." So you know, this was
So
on.
have you reported any of this to MPD?
No,
Not the resource officer. I'm talking about going over his head and going straight to the chief.
not.
Well, because to me, now what we have is organized crime here from some gang members, and now we're not in the school. We're taking pictures of your personal property and sending threats to a kid on
on Snapchat.
Snapchat.
So here's what I'm having a problem with. You're such an anti-bullying movement. What's it going to take? Is it going to take a kid committing suicide to bring awareness to this? I mean, because this is how it starts.
Right.
And it's sad, and it scares the shit out of me because this is how it starts every time.
Well, we didn't take it to Midlothian Police until this last incident, because the fourth incident, I told them if this happens again, I'm going to take it to the police, and I'm going to press charges. And no, I don't. I guess they didn't take me serious. You know, that was the fourth incident is when I demanded something happen, like. These kids don't need to be around each other. Like, separate them. Do not even let them be in the same classroom with each other. So we were told a stay away agreement would be put in place. And my son had to sign it.
Is that kind of a cheap version of a restraining order?
I guess it's like the school
Like a school version of the
Okay.
restraining order.
My son had to sign it. The other kid had to sign it. They had to write written statements about what was happening. This was all during Thanksgiving, right before Thanksgiving break. And so from Thanksgiving until now, I've been under the assumption that they are not talking to each other. They're, they're staying away from each other, that they're not even in the same classroom. And then this last incident,
The video. Okay.
occurs, and they're in Spanish class together. And, my son, he didn't do anything to provoke it. The kid was, I guess, before class telling Colton, that's why you cried last time. And my son said, my son did say something. He said, yeah, I cried because I was going to ISS, but you cried too. And then he's standing over my son. My son's sitting at his desk and he's standing there. And so my son's recording on his own cell phone. And he says, look at you recording me. And Colton says, I'm recording you because I don't want to go to ISS. And then his phone gets knocked off, so we don't see anything else. There's actually a second video, but there's...
This is this most recent incident
Yes.
when it happened, and somebody else caught it.
Somebody else caught it, and we got that one because the kids have their own, I don't know what platform they're on, whether it's TikTok or
Snapchat. Oh,
or-
my kid, I've got 4 boys, 3 of them in school.
But that one went around the whole district. My son, my oldest son, who's in high school, he got it.
Whoever took that video and it left their phone, they probably went to ISS for that. You're not allowed to, and I know this because I've got some nieces and nephews, and I've got kids too. And if you take a video and you send it out, you're implicated in the punishment as well.
Yeah.
Just by taking in this case, I'm really
I was
happy that
glad
we've
that
got
they
the
took
video,
it, yeah.
but that whoever who took that video and released it did take one for the team.
Yeah. Yeah.
For lack of a better term, because that's against school policy to take a video of violence or.
So what's become of this situation? What was the result? How did they take care of it?
Well, after I got loud and it had to go on Midlothian Talk and everything to finally get their attention, I got a call, that we could see Dr. Faye. And at first, she didn't want to see us until later in the afternoon, but then she called us back.
Let me back up real quick. Before we even got to Dr. Fay, what did the principals, vice principals, the administration of Dietrich Middle School do about this? I mean, surely you don't just go straight to the superintendent. I would think that
No.
there are some procedures or some things that need to be done in the school first. I mean, day of, this happens. An assault just happened in a Spanish room. The teacher came, which was a substitute teacher, by the way,
Right.
had come in between them. I mean, I bet you that she went home with an interesting story for her,
Absolutely.
side gig,
Right.
substitute. But and separated them. Obviously, what happened? What happens then? Now we have Colton, who was just assaulted, and we have someone who just assaulted Colton. I mean, what does the school do at that point? I mean, do you get phone calls immediately?
Well, my son called me on his way down to the office. He had sent me the video that he took where you see the before the fight. And then it just goes black. He sent
We
that
didn't
to
have
me.
cell phones in high school, in
Right.
middle school, so
And so I called him and said, what happened? And then, he's crying, trying to tell me about, what happened. And he got down to the office and had to hang up with me.
school calls at that point, or
Yes, Mr. Rogers called.
I spoke to him for, oh gosh, probably 10 minutes.
is he the principal?
He's the assistant principal. And
What did he have to say?
he kind of minimized the situation. So he's the same assistant principal that I spoke to on the fourth incident right before Thanksgiving. And at that time, I told him, I said, hey, this has been an ongoing issue. It's, in my opinion, as his father, I said, it's become a bullying issue. And he cut me off as soon as I said it. He said, this is absolutely 100% not a bullying issue. This is an isolated incident.
Times 5.
And I said, well, a lot of this is, Colton has up to this point, tried not to raise too much of a fuss about it. I said, because the way he's looking at it is, well, how much more flack am I going to catch when I go back to school from these kids? And I said, so Officer Hall's aware of it. You're now aware of it. I said, this has been an ongoing issue. I'd like for you to look into it and see if we can get this thing to stop. And so that was when they were supposed to do their stay away agreement. Fast forward to this last incident. I get on the phone with him. I'm a little amped up. I'm less than happy with it. He says, well, it's Colton did exactly what he should have. He's not going to receive any punishment, just so you'll know that. And I said, well, that's kind of the least of my worries right now. I said, why are we here? And kind of went back and forth, spoke to the SRO. He was there with him. Could tell I was just kind of spinning my wheels. It wasn't going anywhere. And I told him, I said, this has got to stop. This is where it stops. I said, and, from here, I assume we'll just go file an assault report.
Now, you know something about this, right?
Yes, sir.
Are you law enforcement or?
I used to be.
Okay. So, I mean, as far as, on the legal side of this, what's your take? What would you have done if you were the responding officer to that?
So it's pretty clear. It's an assault. And that's what I talked to the SRO about. And he told me, he said, well, at best, it's a Class C, the equivalent of a traffic ticket. And I said, no. I said, I've talked to my son. I said, he's pretty shook up. I said, it hurt when he got hit. And I said, I'm sure he's got some bumps and lumps. And he said, well, it's just going to be a Class C, and I would be the one that takes it if that's where it goes. And he and I kind of got into the verbiage, and I told him, I said, it's a Class A assault any day of the week.
But I understood that resource officers, the state of Texas, took away their ability to even write tickets.
So I don't know if it's pertaining. I don't know a whole lot about that as far as the current legal updates on it. I know.
Well, I heard this from a former resource officer. Well, the quote, who actually serves on our school board, Mr. Richard Pena. His exact words were, when the state of Texas decided to take police authority away at the schools, it took away any and all fear the kids had because we can't write tickets anymore.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, when I talked to him, he said I can file the report, and I'm sure, I don't know, I guess if he could take action at that time. I know I never worked in the schools. We had our own separate ISD police department, and they handled a lot of it. But like I told him, I said it's a Class A assault. I would file it, and from there, if
I mean, it's agreed it's under juvenile law, but still.
Yeah.
So does that make it less severe if it's a child doing it versus the fight I went to someone in a restaurant and just started beating the car out of them?
It's the same class of offense. It's the only thing that changes the courts where it's handled.
Yeah.
Whether it be a juvenile court in front of a juvenile judge versus the county court in front of the DA and a judge. That's really the only difference. Once they turn 18, it's off the record. They're not married to that thing forever.
Right. But I mean, and again, this is the legal, ramification of it. That's kind of up in the air right now. But I mean, more importantly, we've got a kid that has to wake up in fear every day to go to school because he's not sure how the damn day is going to turn out. So basically, the principal the assistant principal wasn't very helpful. I'm not quoting you. I'm saying from what you're telling me, I think that wasn't much of a help.
Yes.
And I want everybody to understand something. I mean, especially all you dads out there that are listening to this. I mean, I'm a father of boys. Okay. Look at this. Imagine if this was your kid, dads. What would you do?
I know what I would.
I know what I would do. You all know what I would do.
I would have already been off the hinge.
But
kudos to you because you've demonstrated
you're very
tremendous
mature.
restraint.
You're
Yeah.
very mature and calm about this on the surface, at least. But moving forward, do you feel like that this should have just been handled right then and there? I mean, pretty cut and dry. You guys, I mean, why is Dr. Faye having to deal with this? Shouldn't would John, I mean, should the principal have not been able to handle this? Or the simple fact that we have to separate the two kids now? I mean, this happened 5 times, okay? I mean, the old saying, 3 strikes, you're out type deal. I mean, what's the most severe punishment that the aggressor, the child, that assaulted Colton received?
3 days of ISS. Now this last one, he was, I guess, supposed to go to ISS again. I don't know. They wouldn't let me know what his final punishment was going to be. But Colton, when he came home, told me the kid was getting 10 days of ISS for the video.
Are they in the same school still?
No, I was able to get.
Sorry, we'll put you back on track with what you were talking about with
Dr.
meeting
Faye.
Dr. Faye.
Oh yeah, no. The
Before I
reason
interrupted.
the reason it got to Dr. Faye though was because I tried to handle it after the assistant principal wasn't very much help. We tried to handle it with the principal. She started raising her voice at us and talking over us, and so I just stopped.
How'd that conversation go? She's raising her voice. I mean, what's she saying?
Well, I asked her, I said, why is this happening? Why is there a 5th incident now? Because the last time that this happened, there was supposed to be a stay away agreement in place. And so they weren't even supposed to be in the same classroom. So why is this happening again? Why are we here? And, she was just talking over me. She was saying, well, we didn't know this happened 5 times. And I told her, I said, no, you didn't know about the first 2 because my son asked me not to let you know. But you've known since the 3rd one. And I've called in between these incidents, like we've had conversations about this. And she was saying, that they didn't know.
So how many ISSs were documented? And I'm asking that because obviously the first 2, you guys
weren't reported.
You weren't reported because you didn't want extra backlash to happen. So the 3rd fight was reported and there was ISS. The
3rd fight was reported and there was no ISS.
Okay.
That one was handled by Officer Hall. And I don't think there were any consequences for the boys at that point.
Okay.
So I don't know, you know,
The fourth fight is when Colton actually received ISS because he
fought back.
tried to defend himself.
Yeah, I told him when that happened, that fourth one, previous to that fourth one, I told him, I said, look, the school's not helping you. Officers Hall's not helping you. You're going to have to help yourself.
Yeah,
You're
you
gonna have
can't
to
just
fight.
lay down like a rock.
Right.
I mean,
And I told him that. I said, you're going to have to stand up. And my son's bigger than this kid just sitting down. So,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, he can stand up and defend himself. And I told him to. And so he did on the fourth one. And, but he got ISS. And Colton's different than like my oldest son. Colton's loves school. He's a straight A student. He doesn't ever want to get in trouble. He doesn't want to get ISS because he's afraid that if he has too many disciplinary actions on his record, that he can't get into a college.
Yeah.
That he can't get into National Honor Society. You know, things like that. Those are things that are important to him. And so this last time, he refused to fight back because he didn't want to go to ISS. You know, and like I said, we weren't getting anywhere with the assistant principal or the principal. And so I actually called, I guess the person that would be above them is the director of student services, I believe is his title. And it's Dr. Hemley,
What's the principal's name?
Mrs. Rogers.
Mrs. Rogers. Mrs. Rogers, do you have a comment? I'd love to have her on the show. Should we call her out directly? Because that's not right.
Well, I want to know why this is absolutely not bullying.
Well,
This is bullying.
They've treated each incident as an isolated incident.
I got to the point of
5 times.
frustration with it to where I told my wife, I said, I don't know what else to say, but I can assure you what I'll say or what'll come out of my mouth from here on out is probably not going to be productive for anything. And so she took it over because I was going back and forth with Mr. Rogers at that point, and he vehemently telling me, no, this is not bullying. This is
Who's Mr. Rogers?
he's the assistant principal.
Okay.
And I told him, I said, look, you have to do something to intervene. I said, I'm a 36-year-old man. I said, I can't come up here and fight a 14-year-old student. I said, you have to be the intervention on behalf of my son. I said, because I can't do it for him. He pretty much cut me off there, and he's like, oh, we're not going to discuss that. We'll handle it according to our protocol. And
You didn't.
he didn't. And I was just,
And
we're here. Because we're
Rogers,
here.
Your protocol sucks.
my level of frustration continued to rise. And my son comes home and he says, yeah, well, you were talking to him and the SRO. They're standing there going, making faces and mocking you. And I said, and so she and I talked about it. And I said, well, obviously we've kind of hit a brick wall here, because if I'm legitimately trying to find a solution to this, and your response is to mock me in front of my son, I can pretty assuredly say that you're not going to handle it the way that I feel as a parent that it should be handled. So how do I take this out of your hands and get it to the next person up the chain that'll potentially do something? And
So he was actually mocking you.
Yes.
that's, and my son, he come home.
This
and
was
told
the principal.
the assistant principal and the school resource officer.
How old is he? Because it sounds like he's 13.
Well, it's such a frustration at that point, because, like, I send my son to school here under the assumption that you're gonna do what you can within your power to make sure he's in a safe environment and he's not getting thumped on by the same kid over and over and over again. And she brought up the point about the previous incidents and the stay away agreement, and he looked like a cow looking at a new gate. He's like, I have no idea what's going on. What are you talking about, stay away agreement? When was that? When was this last incident? Acted like he just had amnesia from it. And so
they signed, both boys signed a stay away agreement, which, like we said, is the school version of a restraining order. And then when this fifth altercation happened that we have this video of, not only was it a fifth assault, but it was also a violation of a stay away order. I mean, that's a double.
Well, I brought
Did
up,
anybody say anything about the fact that there was a stay away order and then this happened? I mean,
oh, we did. That was
the
our
school. I mean, did they acknowledge that?
they had no recollection of it. when we asked. And they said, well, we don't remember doing one of those.
Did you have a copy of it?
So
No, we didn't. I had the forethought, yes, I would have got a copy.
So who keeps a copy of that?
Apparently, it's supposed. Well, that's what I asked Mrs. Rogers. I said, "Is this electronic? Do they sign it on like an iPad? Is there paper?"
Yeah, what did Colton say? Did he sign with a
He
pen?
signed with a pen.
Okay.
It's on a white piece of paper. It's about a paragraph long, and he had to sign it, and the other boy had to sign it. And not only did they have to sign that, but they had to write a written statement of what occurred. So when I asked, Mrs. Rogers, well, where is that paper? I want a copy of that paper because you didn't follow through with the measures that we were supposed to be put in place to prevent this from happening a fifth time. So where is that paper? And then I was asking her, is this electronic? Is this a piece of paper? Where is it? And she said that it's a piece of paper. And she had to look for it.
Who's looking for it?
Mrs. Rogers.
Rogers.
And then,
Has she found it yet?
no, apparently it's lost. And I'll quote what
Who presented the stay away order? Who was the person that actually put it in front of the child?
Mr. Rogers.
And he's the one claiming amnesia about it. How convenient.
Yeah. Well, and the quote, I'll quote, they said, sometimes things get lost.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
bet if it was their child, it wouldn't get lost.
No.
Well, regardless, there was an order signed. I mean, Colton didn't dream it. I mean,
Right.
we know it happened. So not only did a fifth assault occur, a violation of that stay away order occurred. And I think what all this comes down to, it seems to me, Mr. Brown, is the whole word bullying. I mean, so then you go to Dr. Fay, and what happened with Dr. Fay? Before your post was removed, I don't know if you have a copy of it or
I do.
I want to talk about that. You went in asking for a few things to be resolved, and so tell us about that.
So the post that was removed was
So, but Dr. Fay, she could, as soon as the post hit Midlothian Talk, all of a sudden her schedule opened up, and
Right.
okay, she had time
Yeah.
for you.
When I posted that post, I actually posted it to my personal Facebook page, and then it was put on Midlothian Talk. I was still waiting on the call back. I waited all
Actually,
day.
I put it on Midlothian Talk.
Yes.
I did.
Yes.
And Buzz.
Yeah, you said somebody helped.
Yeah, and it was pinned on there too, and then the pin was removed. But yeah.
At that point, when I made that post, I was still waiting on the call back from Dr. Hemley. I waited all day on the call back from him, and he didn't call me back. So the next day, I called up to Dr. Fay, and I asked to speak with her because I'm going up the chain of command the way I'm supposed to. She didn't have an opening for me at that moment. It was going to be later in the afternoon. And so about 30 minutes later, or maybe less than that, I get a call and she says, "Can you come in right now?" And I said, "Yeah." And so we went in and we sat down. The first thing she said was, your request for a transfer has been granted, because I had been I requested a transfer out of that school with Mrs. Rogers after this fifth incident, because I wasn't going to send Colton back to school there where they failed to adhere to their own measures to prevent it from happening, and it happened again.
3 times that they were aware of.
Right. I wasn't going to send him back there. I understand the boy might not have been in school for 10 days or however many days, but he was going to come back. Not only is he having to deal with this one boy, but he's also having to deal with his friends. So I'm not going to send him back there to deal with this and the backlash, because the video had been shared all over the district, amongst the kids. And so I wasn't going to send him back there. And so I said, "I'm not sending my son back there. I don't trust you to make sure he's safe. This is going to happen again."
Right.
And she tried to talk us out of it. The first time I requested it, they flat out said, no, that's not possible.
It never happens or it doesn't happen.
It never happens.
It's not possible.
It's not possible.
That was Mr. Rogers on the fourth incident. He told me, well, he said, what are you going to do? Sell your house and buy another one in this district? And I said, well, I think that's a little bit overkill, I said, no, we've got to figure something out.
Mr. Rogers, what smart ass, buddy.
Oh, he's
What's his first name? Do we know?
I don't know his
figure it
first
out.
name.
Talk to you.
he's pretty
We need-
condescending. when
Talk to a parent like that.
We need to
I mean,
reach out.
that's
to him.
condescending. I mean, we need.
Yeah. I mean, we were told no, that never happens. And then I told him, I said, I don't care if I have to take him out of this district. I'll put him in another school. I want him to go to public school. I want him to go to Midlothian.
Midlothian's got a great school district.
Right. And he's been
Yeah.
here his whole school, career or whatever you call it. But he's been here since kindergarten. And he's never had a problem.
But in order to keep Midlothian a good school district, John, we have got to address situations like this and be proactive with them and take care of them and make sure they don't happen. Otherwise, we're going down the wrong road.
It only takes a couple bad seats to make it go that way.
Again, I've said it time and time again. Everybody's tired of hearing the same line from me on this podcast. DeSoto High School class of 97. I wouldn't send anybody to school there right now.
we graduated from Cedar Hill, and when we got married and started looking for a house, I said, graduated from there, grew up there most of my life. We specifically moved to Midlothian for the schools.
Yeah,
because
I mean, that's why
want
people move here to this
I want my
town to
kiddos
raise a
going to
family.
school.
For the schools, for the community.
But I wasn't sending him back to that school, not after they dropped the ball so many times.
Yeah.
And so the first thing Miss Fay said was, or Dr. Fay, she said, your transfer request has been granted.
What did she have to say about the term,
Bullying.
this being an issue of bullying? Or
She didn't really say much about that.
She kind of threw out the blanket statement. She said bullying is a problem at every school district in the nation. And I said, well, I'm sure it is. And I said, but
I'm sure it is too.
what's the protocol? And to this point, I still have no idea what Midlothian's protocol is to handle bullying or to identify it or, deem somebody a bully. They just say we have a zero tolerance. And so to me, that's a really big blanket statement they just threw out there and said, we just have zero tolerance. For
Okay,
So
we
what
have
is
zero
zero
tolerance.
tolerance?
We have.
I don't
we
know.
have cases. We
Got
have.
that in
We
stereo.
have multiple cases of assault here. Obviously, there's not a zero tolerance. This
So
happened.
to me, zero tolerance is expulsion.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Well, apparently you have to be identified as a bully before they'll.
So 5 times,
Yeah.
well, 2 times weren't reported. So 3 times, there's no 3 strikes you're out, I guess, huh?
I guess not.
And I'm sure a big part of that is there's certain things in the Texas Education Code that once you identify and something is documented as a bullying issue, that there's protocols that as a district they are supposed to follow, and
I get that.
so I don't know if I don't want to speculate and say, well, that's why it's so hard to classify it as, or if they just don't have a good avenue or a good way to do it. I don't know.
Wow.
But there's definitely an issue here in Midlothian with it. My first post got over 181 comments, and a lot of them were parents saying, I'm going through the similar thing with my son or daughter, and there were several that sent me private messages. One of them said they got to the point where I was with my son, and they took it to social media, and they got a cease and desist letter from a district lawyer. So
Midlothian district lawyer?
Yeah.
Really?
Send me
Yeah.
one, buddy.
I'd love to see a copy of that.
I would too.
And say, at what point does that start stepping on your freedom of speech? Because they're public servants.
Knowing me, I probably would have pushed it and see how far they go with it. Here's your cease and desist letter. Oh, great. This is just what I needed. Let's go. Game time.
Well,
right?
yeah, exactly. The fact of the matter is, we've got a child here who is, I mean, that's when I was looking down, I was watching the video again. I'd really like to, with your permission, to get this, because if you haven't seen the video, then you don't understand the fire, okay? And the issue with this. I mean, this isn't pushing and shoving on the playground. I mean, this is outright violence.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know if I can put it on there without just torching the podcast. But if anybody wants to reach out, we do have it.
It happened at 12:57,
We
that's
can
for
send
sure.
it out, and people can see it. And I don't know. I might see if I can maybe create another post for just that on there with the YouTube link. I'll see what I can do. But yeah, obviously, there's something has to be done about this. It's not right.
Yeah. And that's kind of where we are. So we were granted the transfer. So the immediate, there were 3 goals that I had, as soon as this happened. One was make sure this kid knows that we're serious and that he actually gets punished for this. A slap on the hand, 3 days in ISS. He goes back and brags about how he likes ISS. He doesn't care about ISS. So there had to be something more substantial, that would happen. And so that we pressed charges. They tried to talk us out of it. The resource officer
Wow.
did.
Wow.
He didn't want us to do it because he said, the mom and the son were crying and they didn't realize that, this was an actual thing that they could get charges pressed against him.
So is this how I get out of going to jail?
let
Start
me
crying?
ask you this: has you guys have had no correspondence with the child's family? Okay. Has the child apologized or done any type of just an apology of any
No.
case?
We've had a few third parties that have reached out to her on Facebook and said, "Hey, I know this child. He has a really kind of rough home life. I won't say coming to his defense, but they."
Oh,
No, I mean that's
And
we
I
don't
have
know
compassion,
what
but it's
and
not
I
right.
do too. But you can't physically assault somebody over and over and over again. If you've got issues, then there's other things. Just as we're sitting here with you guys today to bring awareness of what's going on with your son in our town. If a kid like that's got some issues, well,
We would love to help him.
There's ways to handle that, and that's the beauty of this community. That's why we're all here. We're here because, and I've seen it time and time again in our town. If we want to come together and accomplish something, we do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you guys have come out to participate in the downtown events that we have, our street dance, our wine walk, and
Yes.
when everybody comes together, the story with Wormy, he was a guy here in town that, an old vet that lives in his car and it broke down, and the city
bought him a car.
city bought him a new car.
Well, the city, not
suburb-
the citizens.
the citizens. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Our city, our community. Excuse me, bought him a car.
They actually tried to build him a house, but he didn't want it.
Right.
Yeah.
He likes his life.
So our community is real good about these type of things. But when there's, and of course we don't want to have, we don't want to think of our town as a town that has an issue like that, because we're proud of our town, and we moved here because it is prestigious, and then not to be snobs, but I mean we're proud of it. And me coming from DeSoto, you coming from Cedar Hill, John's from here. I mean, when I moved here, I have a lot of my friends from DeSoto live here. I've got nobody that still lives in DeSoto. They've all moved out elsewhere. Nobody lives from 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So here in Midlothian, I have friends who went to school here. Their parents went to school here. Their kids are their grandkids. I've got 2 granddaughters they're young, but they'll go to school here, God willing. And and it's a good place. But we can't sweep things under the rug, especially when it's affecting somebody in the manner that it's affecting Colton, to where he has got to change schools now. I mean, and I hope he's having a better time over there at Walnut Grove. But you know, even having to go through that, now he got out of one situation, and he's praying that he walks into another situation, and he's not. I mean, I don't know if he's thinking this, but this is, you know, my mental take on it. Now he's going into this school thinking, you know, I hope nobody just realizes I'm the kid that, you know, had to leave, you know, Dietrich because I kept getting in a fight with a kid. You know, I kept getting beat up by, you know, I mean, kids.
Yeah.
You know,
Kids talk. I mean, they all know each
they
other.
can be ruthless, and I think a lot of it starts at home. For one, I mean, my boys are rough, but I think you can pretty much go around town. Anybody that knows my boys, they all worked at Brandenburger, and even my older kids. You know, they're all boy. Don't get me wrong, but
Right.
you know, I wouldn't put up with something like that. And if it was my kid that did that to Colton, we'd have an issue. And so I guess my thought process is, I wonder why they haven't brought the two families together to try to work this out. I mean, because a lot of this could probably be solved if you had two, you know, groups of sound mind, you know, just to
Right.
maybe sit the kids down together. Look, you guys are growing up together. Y'all might be best friends come senior year. Play,
Right.
you know, he may be blocking for you,
Or not.
or not. I mean, you know, things like that happen. You're still young. There's no need to do this. But in the meantime, you know, what bothers me is that I didn't know about them running around claiming that they're gang members.
Yeah.
That's another can of worms in itself, but
Yeah.
we definitely
That's-
don't need
that's
that
not
around
good.
here.
No.
No. You know, you know, with I guess in reference to what he was saying about the people who were contacting me, you know, to tell me that this child had a hard life and whatnot. I basically told him, I said, you know, I can be sympathetic towards that, but I also know that sometimes our best lessons come out of our consequences. And
Yeah.
up to this point, he hasn't really had any consequences. And you know, and like I said, it's
Well, You know, I get your struggle, and you know, I commend you for, you know, the way you've handled it, because I can't tell you that I would have handled it as good as you did. You know, I'm a bit of a loose cannon sometimes, and
Well, I had to restrain myself because,
Yeah.
I mean, of course I wanted to handle it that way, but at the same time, I know that a lot of times your messages get lost when you start doing that.
Yeah.
You don't get your point across. And so I just really wanted to get the point across, like, I don't want this to happen again. So whatever we need to do to fix it to where this doesn't happen again, then let's do it. And so, you know, we were able to do the punishment with the kid. My second goal was, I guess, mediate the immediate, and we got him transferred. So that was, you know, the second goal we were accomplished there. The third one was just making sure this never happens again. And I'm still, you know, we're still trying to work on something along those lines. Because next year he goes back to the same school with this kid,
They'll both go to
MHS.
MHS.
And because they classified the transfer as a parent request rather than a safety issue, when I go to request another
But
transfer,
parent requests aren't just allowed,
yeah, they weren't allowed.
right?
That's from the best of my understanding, the incident before, that'll never happen. That's not going to happen.
what are you gonna do? Sell your house?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on. Then what kind of response is that?
Yeah,
It's frustrating because, like I said, she handled it a lot better than I would have, and that was the thing we talked about. I said, I don't want to. I don't want this.
You had to take a back seat.
I don't want this
man
thing
to man.
to
You had to take a back seat, or it was
lose
yeah,
credibility
yeah.
because I don't want to say something or do something that's going to hurt the credibility of handling this because they're going to be like, oh, it's just another angry parent,
Yeah.
he's being a loose cannon. His point's mute now because he's just flew off the handle. I didn't want that to happen.
Yeah, exactly. It would have been cool. Yeah, I mean, it'd have been cool to talk to Colton, but I get it. What does he want? What speak for him? What would he? I mean, you guys have had. I'm sure you've had plenty of talks, over this because I'm sure he's. In addition to what's all going on, probably why is this guy doing this to me? I mean, kids.
Yeah, he doesn't quite understand. why
they're
he was
born
singling
pure.
out.
It's the world that destroys us.
Yeah.
So
He can usually make friends with anybody. That's I think what's been hardest for him is because he can make friends with anybody.
Yeah.
And he hasn't quite understood why they singled him out. I mean, like I said, it started in that locker room and it just progressed from there and it hasn't stopped. It's been all year long.
Well,
and it's been relentless.
this is a case with a lot of it. Bullies love an audience, and when they get feedback from their buddies, because they single one guy out and start picking on him, and then it's everyone's goading them on and saying they like an audience, and when people get attention like that, and they think like, hey, I'm the cool kid now because I'm the one who's pushing around the other kid, it escalates from there.
It wears. I've seen it kind of wear on him over time because I asked him, I said, are you happy that you're going back to Walnut Grove? And he said, yeah. He said, I've got a lot of friends there. And so
because he'd been there before you moved.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
He feels like he's got at least a good support system there, a cousin that's there. So he feels comfortable. And I told him, I said, just because you go to Walnut Grove doesn't mean that there's not going to be somebody that's mouthy or talks trash to you. I said, but he just obviously feels more comfortable with it. But Colton and I, he's a mama's boy, but over time you could just see over the past, since he started at Dietrich last November when we moved, he just looks beat down because everybody will tell you he's a happy, smiling kid. He's just a happy dude, and it got to the point where he's like, I don't want to go to school. And I'm like, you love school. I wish my oldest son loved school as much as he did, but I said, you love school. Why do you want to go? And he's like, I don't want to go.
It's an ass whip, man.
It is.
To get up, get dressed, just to go deal with this every day.
He would tell me he was sick all the time. I don't want to go to school. I feel sick. I think I have COVID. And I'm like, no, you don't have COVID. No, you're fine. But it was, he would pretend to be sick. When the school dances or activities would happen, he wouldn't want to go.
Yeah.
He spent a lot of time in his room. I would pick him up from school and he would cry, and he wasn't that way before. And so that was,
I could tell when I started getting, he would all send me like Colton never texts me. We always, talk on the phone or, when I see him at home, when I get home, and I would start getting messages at 10 or 11 o'clock at day in the day. Hey Dad, hope you're having a good day. Love you. And I'm like, is everything all right, buddy?
Yeah.
And I could tell he just, he was reaching out for something and I didn't know what.
Absolutely.
And so I told her, I said, if, even if we don't get a transfer, if we have to put him in a private school, something's going to change because
you have to.
I said, I'm not going to leave him in that situation to just continue to take a mental beat down because I said, Colton's he's a super intelligent kid, very sound minded.
It sounds like he's going places. And, it's guys like him that hires guys like that. So
Exactly.
I said, I just don't want to see him decline any further, have any, God forbid, create any further issues for
Absolutely.
him. And so I said that he's my biggest concern with it. I said, so if we have to pull him out of school and put him somewhere else, then that's what we'll do. We're hoping we'll see how next year starts.
So at this point where we're at, it's just as far as MISD is concerned, this case has been closed, and
well, I have some grievances that we're in the process of filing.
Okay.
so that was one thing that we were still doing is the grievance process. And Dr. Himley, he did say that he would send me the request for transfer for next year. Some people have asked me that, because I think at least one more year apart would at least be good, because we've only got a few more months left of this school year. And then they start again in August.
Even with the redrawing that goes into effect for this next calendar school year, they'll still be
Yes.
in the same high school.
Yeah. And so we, I think, I don't know exactly. I think that mainly affects
Like Overlook. and-
over like this area.
Yeah, I hadn't looked at it. I know that.
I don't think that really affects our area too much, the rezone. And so next year they go back to school together, and I just didn't think that was enough time to, I guess,
Forget about each other?
Yeah, kind of forget about each other. And so I asked him, would you be okay if you started over at Heritage for 1 year and then you go back to MHS? And he's fine with it. The only concern he had was he loves baseball, and so he wants to play baseball, and he didn't know how that would affect, if he were to start playing over here and then go.
If he was to start at Heritage, he may just want to stay there.
Right. Yeah, and then that in turn would mean that we would have to either sell our house and
because I guess geographically, would it be an inconvenience to you guys? Obviously,
don't
until he
mind.
starts driving.
Well, right now is a great time to sell. So if you're going to jump in the market, now it's time to do it.
it wouldn't be an inconvenience for us. I honestly feel like we're closer to Heritage than we are to MHS, but just the zoning, or we'd have to request every year to have him transferred, because those transfers are only good for 1 year.
Yeah.
1 school year.
And I guess they review them on a case by case. So that's kind of the up in the air thing. Even if we request it, we don't know that it would even be granted. So.
And because they've classified it as a parent request rather than a safety issue, I don't even know that they could look back in the history and see.
Yeah, and that's really concerning, because why would I want to know why they would not do it's not a parent request.
No.
It's
essentially, yes, I requested it, but
100%
only
a
for
safety issue. John, is it not?
No, it is. It is absolutely. And
Sounds like there's little.
there's some reasoning behind all this, and
Something don't pass the smell test here, that's for sure.
no.
I asked the guy when he said, this is a parent request, not a safety issue. And I said, did you see the video? Because this is 100% a safety
A safety issue, yes, absolutely.
I guess I'm requesting it, but because he's not safe to go back there.
No.
This is going to continue.
Yeah.
Well, we're at our time limit. We could go on and on.
Oh,
I'm
we
sure.
could. Well, I'm glad that for the meantime that Colton's okay and whatnot. But
Keep us updated.
Thank
too,
you
if we
guys.
need to do a follow up.
Yeah,
show.
absolutely. And reach out to us if you need anything. Can't do everything, but we can.
We have some voices.
This is what we do. We talk.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely helped. Like I said, if it
Nobody
hadn't been
shut me up
for-
yet. Even though I got the.
Didn't need to today.
So, anyways, no, thank you guys seriously for coming on and letting us get this out there to let everybody hear without it being reported and pulled down exactly what the whole story was and how this whole thing went down, and some of the loose nuts and bolts that are not so firm with everything that went.
More loose nuts than bolts. I can tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. A stay away order is a stay away order, and that's kind of concerning that.
And I can't help but circle back to this. I feel like the assistant principal dropped the ball big time, and he's a big problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they need to pull him in for a little conference and see, remind him of protocol and why protocol is there, and you know.
Well, even with them losing that that stay away agreement, losing it, we've requested since the SRO was also present, we've requested to pull his documents because he's supposed to document everything. And my son says they wear body cameras, so we've requested
The body cam footage.
Body cam footage,
Good.
so that we can show them this was in place.
All right.
We love you, Midlothian, but listen, protect our kids. At the end of the day, that's what's most important.
They're our future.
They're our future. Love you guys. We're out of here.
Bye.